Yo, 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 it's Cinderella Sew. What up? Today I'm going to show you how you can take a big old t-shirt, and this is what it looks like when it's done. So you're going to lay out your t-shirt, and the first thing we're going to do is cut off these strips at the bottom of the t-shirt sleeve. You're just going to take a good pair of scissors, cut into the bottom, and you're just going to follow that stitching and just cut it right off the end of the sleeve. Now you're also going to cut this open at the bottom, near that bottom seam. So now it's just one long strip, and we're going to use this later. Now we're going to do the same thing over here. So you'll just start at the bottom beside those stitches, cut through both layers of fabric all the way. And on one side of that seam, just cut it. So now it's one long strip, and put that to the side. So now we have our t-shirt, and we're going to cut from one shoulder seam all the way under the collar across to the next. We're going to leave the whole sleeve on, but we're going to start at the collar. So you want to pull that so the seam of the shoulder is right on top. Then you're just going to cut into the shirt on the other side of this shirt sleeve seam. We're going to leave that intact, but just cut in here and start going all the way across, making sure you get right under that collar. You come out before the shoulder sleeve on this side, like that. So we have this piece of fabric we're not going to need. So this is what the shirt looks like now. We have the bottoms off the sleeves and the part off the top. We're going to fold this top piece down and do the same thing at the back. So in the end we have a big part hanging down all around the shirt like that. And you can make your hanging piece as long as you want. Mine's about just more than the width of a hand. These two pieces are going to become your strap. So you're going to sew it inside under here, and then again at the back of the shirt there. Just so there's one strap, and you'll do the same thing over here. So it's going to look like that. Now all we have to do is some easy sewing, and we're done. So we're just going to cut a piece of thread about the length of our arm, and then put it through the tiny hole in the top of a sewing needle. Once it's through, you're going to pull it all the way until the ends meet at the bottom. So now you have a threaded needle, and that's what we need for sewing. So looking at your shirt, you're going to take one of the straps and just imagine where straps would go. And you're going to bring it to the front behind the folded piece and sew it in place there, like that. So now we'll just hold that in place and start sewing. So we go in through the fabric of the t-shirt, out through the strap, pull your needle almost all the way through but not completely, go back through those same holes again, making this loop of thread, and then put your needle through that loop and pull it shut. We're going to do this at least 3 times, and this creates knots. That means the thread stays in place. We've knotted it in place. Now we're just going to go up and down through the strap and the t-shirt. Pull your needle through, and now we'll do a back stitch, which means we go back a bit and then come out close to that same hole we already came out. And this really secures it in place, just like that. Now we're almost at the other end of the strap, so again we're just going to do some knots to knot it in place, going through the same holes several times and putting our needle through the loop of thread before it closes, and then pulling it tight. So now when we have at least 3 knots, we can cut off our thread, and you'll see that we've sewn our first strap in place. When we pull it up like this, we have our first strap secured on the front of the t-shirt. Now we'll sew our second strap in place. So just leave a couple hands width between each strap. Put it here, grab it under that fold, and then you can see where we're going to sew it in place right there. So now we're sewing the second strap to the front of the shirt, going in through the t-shirt, out through the strap, making that loop of thread, and then putting our needle through the loop and pulling it closed. So we're going to do at least 3 knots. Now we'll go down and up through the strap and the fabric of the t-shirt, do our back stitch, and now we're at the other end. All we have to do is a couple knots here. Once you've done your knots, cut off your thread, And now both front straps are sewn in place. So now we've sewn the strap to the front of both sides of the shirt. We're just going to make one hand width up, fold it in half, lay it out, and that's where you're going to sew it in place on the back of the shirt. Cut off some thread, thread your needle, pull it through till the ends meet at the bottom, putting our hand under the folded part and grabbing the strap. So we have the strap and the back of the shirt. So again, you're just going to use those knots, at least 3 knots. And now we're just going to sew along the strap until we get to the other side. And now make more knots. Cut off your thread. So the strap is sewn in place on the front and back of one side. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to measure up 1 hand length, grab it at the top, fold it down, and put it into the inside back of the t-shirt like that. And this is where you will sew it in place. Reach in and grab the fabric and the strap, hold them together, and leave this fold of fabric down the back of the shirt. Just making those knots, and when you get to the other side of the strap, at least 3 knots like this to secure it in place. And we are all done the sewing portion of the shirt. So we'll cut off our thread. So now we've tried it on. You put the straps over your shoulders, you put your arms through these armholes, and this is your cool new t-shirt. So you can do whatever you want to the bottom. I might tie it up like this. If you take your fabric scissors and cut a slit up the bottom here, you can make a nice knot like this. I'm gonna make it so it ties up at the bottom. So all you need to do is a slit up the center middle. So you're gonna grab the front of the shirt, grab the back of the shirt, pull them, and then put it on its side like this. When it's on its side and the shoulder seams are stacked on top of each other, you're just gonna take a pair of scissors, put it in this front fold, and just cut up a little bit so that you can then use this to tie a knot. Now that you have that slit up the middle, you can use these 2 pieces to tie into a knot, and that just gives it a different look. But you can do whatever you want to the bottom. You can leave it hanging however you want it to be. That's the whole point of Cinderella Sew, is to make clothing how you want it to look. Thank you so much for watching Cinderella Sew, and I'll see you soon. Peace.